What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back with another video today. And what a comeback we just witnessed the Jacksonville Jaguars do. Oh my Lord, guys. Down 27-0. And I don't care what any of you say. This was the best comeback of the season. Of the whole regular season. And probably will go down as the best comeback of the playoffs once the playoffs are finally over, unless something crazy happens, like more than 27-0. I understand what happened earlier in the season with the Colts and the Vikings, 33-0. But this is a way different circumstance. This is the playoffs. That Colts-Vikings game, the Colts are an awful team. One of the worst teams we saw this season. The Chargers are a good team. The Jags they're down 27-0 against a good team. The Vikings were down 33-0 to a bad team. And not only that, but this is a playoff game. This is the playoffs where it matters. That game did not matter. Maybe it might have mattered a tiny bit to the Vikings, but that was a team with the Colts that had an awful year. So this was the best comeback of the whole 2022/23 season of the NFL. What a game. And Trevor Lawrence, interesting fact here, he has never lost a game on a Saturday. In 2 games in the NFL, last week and this week, his whole college career, which I don't know how many, I think he might have spent 3 or 4 years with Clemson, and then his whole career in high school. So that's about 8 years, maybe 7, 8 years between college and high school. Maybe less if I'm wrong. Maybe 6 or 5 at the lowest. And then 2 games in the NFL. That is incredible. And if I'm whoever Trevor Lawrence is playing next week, whether it's the Chiefs or the Bills, whatever happens, most likely it's going to be the Chiefs. Most likely, but we can't assume that. Most likely they will be playing the Chiefs. But what I'm going to say is that it could be the Bills. The only way it could be they would play the Bills would be if the Bills beat the Dolphins, which should happen, and then somehow the Ravens were able to beat the Bengals and the Ravens would play the Chiefs and the Jags would play the Bills. But that most likely won't happen, but we can't assume right now. But if that game's on a Saturday, if I'm the Chiefs, I know I don't be scared of a Jags team, but if I'm the Chiefs, I'm a little scared to face a Trevor Lawrence on a Saturday. But yeah, so he's never lost on a Saturday, and it should be interesting to see when they play in the divisional round. If it's a Sunday, if I'm the opponent, I'm a little less worried. All jokes here, though. So let's get in the score summary, as the first 5 scores were all Chargers. Austin Eckler, 13-yard touchdown run, 7-0. Cameron Dicker, 20, former Longhorn, go Horns, 22-yard field goal, 10-0. Austin Eckler, another touchdown, 6-yard run touchdown, 17-0. And then a Gerald Everett 9-yard touchdown pass from Justin Herbert, 24-0. Then a 23-yard field goal for the Colts. I'm thinking about the Colts because of that other comeback for the Chargers, and we now at 27-0. Then Evan Ingram, 9-yard touchdown pass from Trevor Lawrence. Their first score, 27-7. We go into halftime, 27-7. On the Jags' first drive of the first half, not the first drive of the second half, but their first drive, a Trevor Lawrence, 6-yard touchdown pass to Marvin Jones, starting to get a little close. So starting to, get some breathing room and starting to feel a little more confident. So that's 27-14. Cameron Dicker with 2 minutes and 58 seconds to go makes a 50-yard field goal. So now, if I'm the Jags, I'm not saying that I'm feeling, bad about this game, but with that field goal, things are not looking great. But then a 39-yard touchdown pass to Trevor Lawrence to Zay Jones. Great pass by T-Law. But they would go for 2 because you get it to a 1-score game. If you go for 2, they failed on the 2-point conversion. So then this is where things get interesting. The Jags would get the ball back eventually. They scored that last touchdown to Zay Jones with 44 seconds left, but they did not get the ball back until about 8.5 minutes to go in the fourth. They have a 3-minute drive, go 70 yards, and Trevor Lawrence would throw yet another touchdown pass to Christian Kirk for a 9-yard touchdown pass. Now, very interesting. Defensive end for the Chargers, superstar defensive end. Joey Bosa gets a little frustrated after the play because I think he was frustrated because he thought there should have been a face mask on one of the Jaguars offensive linemen. Now he gets frustrated and he throws his helmet down on the ground on the turf twice. Now, the officials call a flag after that for unsportsmanlike conduct, and then the Jags elected to put the ball at the 1 and go for the 2-point conversion at the 1-yard line, and Trevor Lawrence would just, put his hand out and pretty much reach in to get the 2-point conversion. And I like how they did this here because they had an opportunity to get it to the point where if they were to possibly, if they would have been in their next drive, a field goal would have won it. Instead, if you go for the extra point, a field goal ties it, and then you take the chance of going into overtime. So I think that was a great call. It's only 1 yard. And if not, it's not like it kills you, because then if you get the ball back, you can score a touchdown. So I don't think that killed them, and ultimately it ended up winning the game. It was a gutsy call, and it worked. So, yeah, good call by the Jags. But then they would line it up at the end. They get the ball back eventually with 3 minutes to go. 3-minute drives, 10 plays, 61 yards, and Riley Patterson would line up for a 36-yard field goal, and that's when the Jags make history and get the win 31-30. Let's go over the leaders. Herbert with 25 for 43 with 273 passing yards and 1 touchdown. Now, Trevor Lawrence's stats are really hard to look at because he was so good, but then he made some mistakes too. 28 for 47 with 288 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, but threw 4 picks. It was a real struggle in that first half, let's be honest. It was a struggle for these Jaguars. But what matters is they ended up getting the win. Yes, Trevor Lawrence threw 4 picks, but there was a struggle in the first half, like I said, and they ended up getting the win anyways. But Austin Eckler was the Chargers' leading rusher with 13 carries, 35 yards, and 2 touchdowns. ETN for the Jags had 20 carries and 109 yards. Our leading receiver yards for the Chargers, 6 receptions, 109 yards, and 1 touchdown for Gerald Everett, the tight end. Another tight end in our leading wide receiving yards. So both tight ends for both teams are in the leaders. Evan Ingram with 7 receptions, 93 yards, and 1 touchdown. Let's go over all the rest of the stuff let's see, what else do you got? Christian Kirk had 8 receptions, 78 yards, and 1 touchdown. Zay Jones had 8 receptions, 74 yards, and 1 touchdown. Marvin Jones had 3 receptions, 29 yards, and 1 touchdown. For the Chargers, Keenan Allen had 6 receptions and 61 yards, and Joshua Palmer had 2 receptions and 31 yards. Fumbles. There was a couple fumbles in this game. Justin Herbert did end up losing a fumble, and it was recovered by Chris Claybrooks for the Jags. And the Chargers would recover 2 fumbles in this game. Michael Bandy with a fumble recovery, and I don't even want to try to say that name. Amen Agaminga. I probably said that completely wrong, but he recovered a fumble as well. I'm not going to really go through most of the defense's stats. I will say that Derwin James was the leading tackle for the Chargers, and then another name I'm not going to try to say for the Chargers, Foye Sade. And I'm not going to try to say his last name because I don't want to be offensive. Sacks. The Chargers had 2. One was a split sack between Sebastian Joseph Day for the Jags and Kenneth Murray Jr. So those guys split a sack. And then the other sack for the Chargers was Khalil Mack. For the Jags, you got Josh Allen, not the quarterback, defensive end for the Jags, getting a sack, and then Robertson Harris getting a sack, and then we get another half sack. You got Trevon Walker getting a half sack, and then you got Florenzo Fadowski. I probably said that wrong again. Yeah, all right. So then getting to the end, interceptions for the Chargers. Drew Tranquill with an interception and returned it 15 yards. And how about this? Asante Samuel Jr. with 3 interceptions. What a playoff performance for him. Out of 3 interceptions, only returned for 20 yards. So, yeah, I mean, I know you're probably upset about the playoff loss, but that's a pretty good performance. So, yeah, Asante Samuel Jr. with 3 interceptions. Damn. So, yeah. Getting into the field goal kickers, Cameron Dicker was 3 for 4. Missed a field goal. Made all of his extra points. His longest was 50. And then Riley Patterson, only 1 field goal in this game, and it was the one that mattered the most. A 36-yard field goal to win it. So, yeah, that's really it for the best comeback of the playoffs in the season, and probably one of the best playoff comebacks in a while. I mean, 30 years at least, if not 30. I mean, the last last playoff comeback like this was the Houston Oilers when the Bills came back, and that was in 1992. And now we're 2023, so that is 31 years. So it's 31 years since a comeback like this has happened in the playoffs. And, of course, it's in my city, Houston. At least it's not the Texans, though. It's just the Oilers, which that's still our city, but not our current team. So, yeah, I mean, what a comeback by the Jags. They get to win 31-30, and that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on the game, and let me know your thoughts on the Jags going into the divisional round as they face either the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills, either one. Here's what we're gonna go over. I know what will happen, but what if the Ravens would beat the Bengals and the Dolphins would beat the Bills, then they would face the Ravens, which if that would happen, that would be the craziest thing. One of the craziest, because this was crazy, but one of the craziest things to happen if both upsets were to happen. But I'm just trying to give you all the ways that the Jags, who they could be facing. It's either, most likely, in all odds, it's going to be either the Chiefs or the Bills, because I don't see any way the Bills will lose tomorrow to the Dolphins. But if they were to, and the Ravens somehow were able to beat the Bengals, that's who they would face. If one upset happened and never mind. Yeah, if one upset happened and then only one of those happened and the Dolphins beat the Chiefs and the Bengals beat the Ravens, then the Dolphins would play the Chiefs and the Jags would play the Jags would play the Bengals. So they can really play anybody because anything can happen. The Jags and so in reality, they're either going to play the Chiefs or the Bills, but there is a chance they could play the Bengals if an upset were to happen, which it won't happen. But just if you're a Jags fan, just trying to give you all the possibilities if you don't know them. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the game. And peace out. That's really it for the video. Everybody have a good night. And I'm so excited for the playoffs tomorrow. It should be even more interesting. The Giants and the Vikings. I'm so excited for that game. Bills, the Bills and Dolphins, I'm not really too excited about that game. I am excited to watch the Bills because, DeMar Hamlin, after everything that's happened with them, I always love, that Patriots-Bills game was so fun to watch after what happened to DeMar, and I can't wait to see how that Bills crowd reacts tomorrow and their team in general. Maybe DeMar Hamlin will be able to attend the game tomorrow. I think that will just get the crowd rising up. And then our Sunday night, we got the Bengals and the Ravens. So I'm ready for some fun football tomorrow on Sunday. So everybody have a good night, and let me know your thoughts on the game, and peace out.